trying to figure out where to video. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you for coming. I'm Angie Van White, and we do our back to school night together because all four of us are very similar in all of our expectations and curriculum throughout fourth grade. So you'll see a lot of the similarities. But like I said, I'm Angie, and this is my 21st year teaching. I have 3 boys. My oldest just got engaged, actually, and my middle's in college, and my baby just went off to college. But they all went through BFA, so I've been here since the beginning. It's absolutely the best education for your kids, what it taught them, lifelong lessons, and so I love being here as well.
My name is Haley Halliburton. You might also know me as Miss Barda or Coach Barda. I got married in March, but my wedding is actually next Friday. Yes. I am from Canada, originally Saskatchewan, if anybody does know where that is. It is the middle of nowhere. I've been in the U.S. for 8 years now. I came out here to play volleyball in school. I coach volleyball here now. This is my 4th year teaching, 2 years at BFA and then 2 years in Kansas. My husband is a police officer in Aurora.
I'm Megan Walk. Last year I was Miss Mayor's, so you might know me as that as well. I got married in last September, thank you. But this is my 9th year of teaching, all at BFA. I taught 6th grade for 6 years, and then this is my 3rd year of 4th grade. I also coach boys and girls basketball here at BFA, so love the sports. But yeah, happy to be here, and I love my team.
I'm Amy Lucasavage. I've been here 11 years. Started my teaching career at BFA, so I don't know anything else, but I believe it is the best. I taught 4 years in 3rd grade and then moved up, and I've done this is my 7th and 4th grade. So yeah, I live in Inglewood with my husband Charlie, and we have a 7-month-old Elle at home, and that's been really fun. So yeah, excited for a great year. We're all happy that you're here. Mrs. Halliburton's going to start with the website.
All right. I'm just going to hang out down here. I'm going to show you guys this so I don't block anything. So when you guys first get onto the website, it's going to prompt you to put in a password, and the password is Bluebird. And then once you get in, all of these drop downs here are all for our 4th grade. This class schedule is the same for everybody. The only thing that's different is our library times. So our individual schedules, and science lab, are here. So you can see when we go to library and then when we go to science lab. And if you click here, this is our newsletter. So at least by Monday at 8 a.m., we will send out a newsletter in our email. It'll just have the link to take you to the website. And then the newsletter is all on here. So as you scroll down, you'll see all of our upcoming events. We'll put anytime we do any like iReady testing or CMAS testing, just so that you know when to or not book appointments so that they don't get pulled out during those times. Headphones, we got our science lab, volunteers. Anytime we have specials, like the specials teachers need volunteers, the links will be in here as well. We're doing Friday folders this year, which we'll talk more about later, but we did Thursday folders in the past. Same exact thing, just Friday instead of Thursday now. It tells you what we're learning right now for all of our subjects, and then as for second step here, if you click on this link, it'll give you all of the information that we are learning about specifically for those units. Yes, and it tells you here's your password to get in and stuff. And then 4th grade traditions, these are just special things that we do in 4th grade, any field trips, anything like that. Our kickball tournament, it's a pretty popular one. Any classroom management things, so questions you have about communications, birthday treats, homework, late work, stuff like that, that's all in these drop downs here. Study materials, so any of the notes we take for science and social studies, all of the keys are going to be in here, so if your child misses a day of school, they can always just go in here to fill out the notes that they've missed. And if we've talked about if they can't read their notes, then you can also go in here and see what they might be trying to say. We've got a bunch of little games in here so that they can study from this as well, and we'll show them this in the classroom so that they'll know how to get into it. They will use these at school when we give them little bits of time to study, so they'll know how to get into this as well. And then under our math, we have our Envision resources for that, so if you're wondering what we're learning in math or they need extra help, it'll give you some resources there. Homework calendar is here. Right now it just has our iReady diagnostic to show that's what we're doing, but anytime we have tests coming up, like next week, Wednesday, we have our energy vocab quiz, we've got a Colorado symbols test on Friday, so anything like that will be in that homework calendar there. And then when you click on each individual teacher, you'll see a little drop down for about the teacher, and then it'll give you their Nifty News schedule. And we'll talk more about what Nifty News is specifically, but when you click on that drop down, it'll give you the day of when your child is presenting their Nifty News. And it will be the same day for the whole year. So if you do Tuesday, then your child is always presenting on a Tuesday. And we'll talk more about what Nifty News is and what that looks like, because we haven't started that yet. And it doesn't start until not next week, but the following week. And then all of our requirements for Nifty News are in this Nifty News dropdown. So to find your kid's day to go, you click on their teacher's name for the Nifty News days. To find what Nifty News is, the rubric, and then the checklist, you click on the Nifty News dropdown. And I think that is it. Get you back here. Sorry.
All right, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about our rules and responsibilities in 4th grade. We try really hard to focus on positive incentives, constantly trying to motivate the kids. One of our biggest systems is Starbucks. We have little paper Starbucks that we use to pay out the students for positive behaviors, actions, things like that. We have a yellow $1 Starbucks and a green $5 Starbucks, where students are saving up and spending all school year long. So here's just a little look at what that looks like. They can purchase things like a piece of candy, the use of a teacher chair or a special chair cushion. Carpool electronics is something that they coordinate with us ahead of time, where they have the opportunity to bring in a tablet or a device from home and get to use it during carpool. A homework pass, and then our most popular is Snack with a Friend, where each friend has to pay 50 Starbucks, and they get to sit at one of our back tables and bring in snacks from home and basically get to chow all day long, as opposed to just our designated snack time. Again, the most popular, but for your sake, just so you guys hear it from our perspective, a little bit of limit on that. Please make sure that anything that they bring in, they carry themselves. We have had students in years past that have had DoorDash delivered to the school. We have had parents lug in huge coolers. Anything that they cannot carry, they cannot have. So please don't feel like you have to go out and buy the whole entire store. Also, Mrs. Van Wyk brings a great point with past history. Make sure you don't plan anything crazy after a day of Snack with a Friend, because they usually don't feel very good. So fair warning there. However, we also charge students for certain items. Not that they would ever forget a lunchbox or a jacket or a water bottle at school, but if we are cleaning up after them, they owe us a Starbucks, just kind of teaching them that we are not maids or their moms. So a little bit of responsibility there. If they break or lose school supplies, like a wooden pencil would be 1 Starbucks. They can upgrade for 5 Starbucks to like a mechanical pencil or a refill of lead. And then lastly, one of the biggest ones is making sure that they plug in their Chromebook at the end of every day, because we use them a lot. Anything that they do not do along those lines would cause a charge of a Starbucks. So a little bit of a system that helps teach responsibility. One of the hardest things about 4th grade that we really need your collaboration with is letting them fail. Our job is to create a safe space that allows them to do that. And I know as a parent it is so incredibly hard, because you want them to succeed and you don't want them to fail, but we ask that when given the opportunity, we allow them to do so, because we're not gonna it's not gonna be anything catastrophic. A lot of times this looks like if they forget their binder at home, which goes back and forth every single day, that you don't drop it off, that they serve a consequence for 1 day, kind of teach them a lesson. Nifty News, if they forget to print it, write it, anything like that, please let them fail. I know it's really hard, but we promise that we are working hard to just work on these life skills that they're gonna need later on in life. And it's not usually a common occurrence, so it's just that one and done, we kind of learn from it. Study hall party is another incentive that we use throughout the school year. So students have 2 recesses every single day. The first one is their lunch recess. Legally, we cannot take that away. They will always, always, always have their lunch recess. However, their second recess in the afternoon, if they are ever absent and have to make up work, if there are ever any behaviors, misbehaviors, we might take some of that time away. Anything like that, that would be an afternoon, during afternoon recess. We reward and incentivize the kids that if during a whole month they do not have or earn any study hall, then at the end of the month we have a study hall party where we give a treat and they get an additional recess. Now during that time there are a few exceptions. Again, we use this to make up work. There's not any other times during the day when we're really allowed to do that, and we don't want to have them miss out on any instruction, so that's kind of our go-to time. But if a child is making up tests, they were absent, anything like that, we do not penalize them. That would not count against being able to participate in study hall party. Second step is our school's social emotional learning curriculum that we use. That is a big tool in 4th grade. A lot of times we use this to kind of help kids learn relationship building, making sure that we are a good classmate, being respectful to each other, learning empathy, and a lot of just managing how to work through friend drama or any friend issues. We have the school psychologist, Mr. Redford, who comes in and teaches a bully proofing unit with us, but this is going to be a curriculum that we implement weekly. Like Mrs. Halliburton showed you on the 4th grade website, you can always see what we're working on each week, and it's in our newsletter. But that's kind of one of our biggest tools that we use to kind of help the kids work through all of the social side of 4th grade. Our electronic policy did get updated this school year. There is no smartwatches or phones allowed at all. They are allowed to bring them into the school, but they must stay in their backpacks all day long. So please just know that PE, recess, any other time, they will not have that on them, in their backpacks, but not on them wearing it. If you need to get a hold of your child, going through the office is your best bet. You can send us an email, but some days are a little bit crazy where we don't have the chance to check it. So if anything changes with carpool practices, anything like that, please just go through the front office because we can get those messages a lot quicker. If they're with us at carpool and they're like, hey, something's changing, storm's rolling in, I don't know if I'm staying for the soccer game, something like that, we are very understanding and would allow them to communicate with you at that time. But we have learned that 4th graders don't typically have the discipline to wear all day long without scrolling, playing games, texting, distracting themselves and their classmates. So per the school policy that has been updated this year, there is no smartwatches or phones at all. And please just know that, like we kind of talked about in the beginning, we are very tight-knit, very consistent, and anything that one of us says goes for the rest of us. We are all in line with everything. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to talk through our curriculum that we work through every day, the meat of the day. CKLA is our core knowledge language arts curriculum. That's our writing and reading curriculum. So this is a pretty dense curriculum. It's challenging, it's rigorous. We work really hard while we're in class. There's very little CKLA homework that you will see come home. On that note, same with spelling. 3rd grade is pretty heavy on spelling tests. The CKLA curriculum has tons of 3rd grade spelling tests. 4th grade, we have 6 total the whole year. So you will know when those are coming. They will write them down in their planners. There are very few spelling tests throughout the year. So we're working a lot more on reading and reading comprehension, and it's pretty difficult material. So we have pretty high expectations with the work that they do in class. Since we want them to have most of their nights free, and we know you're very busy and you have a lot going on, we really strive to just work really hard while we're in class and not have to do anything at home. So while we're in class, we do expect a lot from these 4th graders. When they're answering in a response, the response we speak all the time is at a 4th grade level. So we're looking for capital letters, periods, is the sentence complete? Did they recycle part of the question? and we're pretty strict on it. Especially towards the beginning, there's lots of redos. Nope, try again. Nope, try again. Still not done. Nope, what am I missing? You know, we're trying to train them to give a full, complete response. So you might see some of these things come home in Friday folders, pretty marked up. That's just because we're really trying to show this is what we're expecting, and you'll see by the end of the year how incredible they are at remembering those details once they've done it over and over and over again. I'm going to talk about corrections at the very end, so I'll talk about how if you can do corrections, but I'm going to go to science and social studies. So Mrs. Halliburton did a great job showing you the website. That is the best place you can go for science and social studies. All of our notes are on there, all of our keys. If anything happens to your notes between the time that they're given and the time that the test is happening, you can always go print out another copy. We try to make it very available to you so that there really isn't any excuse whether they studied or not. Their notes are due at the end of each unit. They do have to turn them in to us before they take the test. So if they do drop the notes in a puddle, they can print out another copy at home, but they need to ask their teacher for a blank copy and they need to redo the notes. So we ask that they keep those notes all the way until the test happens. So please do not clean out their binders. We will do this. We do this every week or every couple weeks. We go through each subject and we make sure that everything in the binder is where it's supposed to be. We kind of keep track of what we still need, and so please do not go through their binders and toss out things that you think we're done with, maybe, because we might not be. So yes, that's science and social studies. Math, we're doing our Envision curriculum. We're going to continue with that. So for math, as far as homework, we'll do, we have our typical hour-long class period. But then for math, we will be assigning a math packet for homework each week. Those of you that have had fourth graders in the past, this is new as of last year, or half of last year. We started bringing these in because we started to feel like they needed some more repetition with some pretty basic concepts. Because we get deeper as far as like during the lesson and when they're learning something new. But some of the building blocks to get there, we felt like there were some gaps. So these packets will start with things like multi-digit addition, some subtraction, some rounding. You'll definitely start to see some multiplication. But it is stuff that you can help with at home because it's just straight up math. And hopefully we can fill in some of those gaps. And when we get to the difficult or more challenging concepts, then they've got those building blocks there. They're assigned at the beginning of the week. Monday, if it's a full week, they're due Friday. We ask that these packets go home and come back each day. So if you are planning to work on them at home throughout the week, that's great. It is homework. But sometimes fourth graders, they do have a chunk of time or like a 15-minute section or like, a moment where it's like, I have nothing to do, I finished. We're trying to teach them to use their time wisely. So like, hey, you're done early. What if you use this 10 minutes to work on your math packet? If it's at home the whole week, they can't do that, So if that could come out of their binders while you're working on it at home, if you don't get it done, pop it back in the binder so that it's at school and they can use their time at school. And then maybe it won't ever have to be done at home. Yes?
Did they get one this week?
No, great question. No, it's going to start next week. Yeah, so it's a short week. We'll be fair to you. But there'll be 3 to 5 pages, shorter weeks, shorter packet. On the website as well, there are family links that you can access to see what we're learning each topic if you're just curious, or if we have a test coming up and you're not sure. We'll try to keep you up to date on that on the newsletter as well. And then, so part 1 of homework was the packets. Part 2 is math facts. And how you practice math facts is entirely up to you. It does not have to be on a digital device. It doesn't have to be on the computer. It does not have to be 99 math if you've heard about that. It can be good old flashcards. It can be, here's a piece of paper and I wrote out all the 7s for you. We're gonna be hounding multiplication and division pretty intensely this year. And again, back to those building blocks of math, they've gotta know their facts, like another language. So if they can know their multiplication facts, that would be super amazing. And yes, that is a part of their homework. There isn't really like a time amount that they need to study, but just until they get it. So I told my class, like in the car on your way home, you know, just have someone tell you facts. Or while you're brushing your teeth, have them on your mirror and say them out loud 10 times. Whatever it looks like in your household, that would be great if you could just make that happen nightly. Okay, so with all of what we learn in all of our curriculum, 4th grade does allow for corrections on every single assignment they do. So what corrections are is if they receive a grade below a 70%, they have the ability to correct their mistakes. But they will not receive a grade over 70%, if that makes sense. That's sort of the max if they're doing a retake or a correction. Because we do like to reward the students or give honor to the students that have done the studying or did it right the first time. But if they drop below 70%, they can redo it, get a whole new sheet of paper, redo the whole thing, or redo just the ones they got wrong is usually how they do it. If it's a test, they'll need to communicate with the teacher, hey, I want to retake that test, and we'll give them another copy. But this is a great way, if their grades are dropping, to just try to do those corrections because it really, really helps. And aside from grades, we want to teach the lesson that, you know, sometimes you are going to make a mistake, but let's see what that mistake was so we don't make it again. Let's fix it so that we don't do it again. Because I know that happens definitely in lots of ways. So we send home our graded work in Friday folders. We will not follow around your child. Are you gonna correct that? You know, you got under a 70. There are certain bigger assignments that we feel we might call them up and go, hey, you know, maybe a good idea to retake this test. Let me know when you want to. But for like all the small assignments, we're just not gonna do that. We're kind of putting it on the 4th grader to check in with their graded assignment and go, ugh, I knew that one. I also knew that one. Why did I miss all those? Make the corrections, bring them back into us, and get that higher grade. So we're trying to kind of put it back on them. So you'll see these. We encourage you to go through the folder on Fridays with them or over the weekend so that you are seeing and together you're communicating about like, why are we missing this or what's going on here, and that's a great way for us to be in contact and be a team with you, your child, and us. We all kind of want to work together on their stuff. So Friday folders, please open them, please look at them, and then GradeLink. Also a great way to keep on track with your child's academics. You can turn on notifications on there so that it notifies you of grades that are put in. You can like change the ways it notifies you. You can have it notify you for every grade we put in, which could be a lot of really fun notifications. Or you can do it like under a certain percentage. Another thing that, and you guys are lucky you're at the second session because I forgot to say this in the first session. But we do write up sometimes for dress code violations like belts or not dressed for formal uniform, and we will also put these in GradeLink. And then if you have your notifications on, you'll get buzzed and be like, oh shoot, the belts, we gotta get that on tomorrow. So that's kind of a good way for you to see that, because we won't email you every time we give a belt violation. We'll just stick it in GradeLink, so sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you don't. We want you to see it. I think, one thing I wanted to talk about was cursive is part of our curriculum. We are following a cursive workbook throughout this whole year. It should take us through most of the year. What it is just to practice cursive. They're not really ever required to use cursive for anything, but we are kind of bringing it back, and it actually teaches, sometimes they've forgotten, like they haven't sat down to practice letters in a long time. Like since first grade, right? And it kind of teaches that, like, slow down, how are you sitting, how are you holding the pencil, all those back to basics with handwriting. So every day, or every week, we assign about 4 pages, depends on the week, that they have to do from Monday to Friday. And it's cool. By the end, it's incredible to see what they can do by the end of the book. It goes through the curves and all the different letters and kind of guides them through a book. So I wanted to mention that too, as part of our curriculum. So I think that's all I got.
Awesome. I will try to wrap this up quickly. I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk a little bit about AR really quick. Your kids have been taking AR tests for the last few years, just to go over some of the expectations in 4th grade. So the first trimester, the minimum points for a 4th grader is going to be 25 points. Now I know some kiddos and some parents are like, what? Like, kind of a big jump. Just know we all do read aloud, so we're all reading aloud novels to your students that they get to take tests on. And so I tell my students, I'm going to give you probably 15 to 18 points a trimester just off of my read alouds. And so just know that 25 is not necessarily them alone, right? We're going to be kind of doing this as a joint effort. With that, we also do what's called reading contracts in 4th grade. It's just a piece of paper they fill out saying, I'm going to read this book, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and I think I'm going to finish it in a few weeks. And then when they finish it, they're going to write down their score and their points. And it's a way for us to keep up on their reading, because we do have a silent reading time during the day, and their homework is to read 20 minutes at night. So this goal is really attainable if you're doing those 2 things. I love reading contracts personally, because I had a student she's in college now, that wanted to quit a book, like, I don't know, 1/8 of the way through. And I'm like, no, you have a contract, I want you to read it. She ended up pushing through her favorite book ever. She ended up reading the whole series. And so I think these kiddos they're not used to like actually reading from beginning to end. And so that's why we do the reading contracts for these books. We do only have them take AR tests at school. That is a school-wide rule. So they'll take it at school, no different than if they were trying to take a math test at home. We have them take all their tests here at school. And the contracts, again, come home in the Friday folder, so you can see, oh, you didn't get any points, maybe talking to your kid, and we'll be doing that too, of like, okay, let's find a book that you can read that we can get points, right? So it's a way to kind of monitor that. We have iReady, which is our district-wide testing. They took their iReady math today. Tomorrow will be their reading. So we take it at the beginning, middle, end of the year for us to see benchmarks, kind of where they're at, where they're going, and what growth they have throughout the year. Another change from 3rd to 4th, we do have iReady lessons. These are all done at school. Our main goal is for you guys at home to be parents and enjoy family time. Most adults go to work all day and then they go home and don't do work. We don't expect our kids doing a ton of work either, because we're working hard here. So just know that we're going to do our iReady lessons here. Most iReady lessons are tailored to, not most, they're going to be tailored to where your child fell in the diagnostics. So they are tailored to their skills. They're meant to last anywhere from 7 minutes to about 18 minutes a lesson. We're going to spend 20 minutes a day working on these. So by Friday, they have to have 4 lessons done to earn Fun Friday, and I'll kind of go through that. So again, that's something that we can monitor at school. Again, it's tailored to their needs, so whether that's a super hard lesson or super easy, it is tailored to be able to be finished, kind of a lesson a day to progress through that. Let's see. Oh, so I brought up Fun Friday. So what we do have between iReady and Cursive, every Friday, if they are done with their work for the week, they've done their Cursive pages, they've done their 4 iReadies, they've done their Nifty News, their math homework was turned in Friday. They get to have the last 30 minutes of Friday is Fun Friday. They get free time in the classroom, they can play Legos games, draw on the desks, play on Chromebooks, whatever, and they live for Fun Friday. And so our goal is just so that nothing's dangling over the weekend and we can start the week fresh. And so that's part of that. The last thing I want to talk about is Nifty News. So this is our weekly writing assignment. If you were here last year, 3rd grade does a weekly writing also. Ours is called Nifty News. They're typed papers that your child will write every week. except for short weeks. We give you off on short weeks. So if there's no school, you will not have Nifty News that week. Your child will be assigned a day. We showed you that. So if your child is assigned every Wednesday, that means every Wednesday they're coming in with a paper that they're going to present to the class. Our website has all sorts of ideas of what they can write about. We have some kids that write every week about what they did over the weekend. I have other kids that every week they've written about a different animal or a different celebrity or anything they want to write about. Side note, I love Tom Brady. That's kind of a funny thing. And I used to give kids 100 automatic if they wrote about Tom Brady, until one kid wrote about how horrible he was. And he's like, I still get 100. I'm like, that really wasn't the deal, but okay. Anyway, total side note. But so anyway, they'll write on, the only thing they cannot write on is we ask that they don't write make-believe. Fourth graders are not capable of kind of putting a close to the story, and then they'll be like, part 7 of my, trip in orbit, whatever. So no make-believe. But the rubric, everything's on the website about what is expected. And so what I tell them is like, okay, you have Wednesday as your date. And they're like, but I have football every Tuesday night. Okay, well then Monday night or Sunday or the week before, right? Find a night. So really homework-wise, you're looking at your Nifty News once a week. And then ideally, a lot of the math gets done in class if they have it. They are brief pages. None of them are going to be over the envision stuff that I know previous years you're trying to figure out how they're supposed to solve it. These are going to be more basic worksheets on how to do math that we know how to do math, right? So anyway, so that's kind of Nifty News. Everything is on the website. We have not gone over this yet with the kiddos. This is what we're going to be doing next week, is kind of what this looks like. We talked to them about presenting, because one of the #1 fears in Americans is speaking in front of people. So we really want to try early on in life to get them used to that. And so we'll be going over this in class. The other thing we'll be teaching them is that I teach them to set up their Nifty News in their Google Drive. Now, if you're not familiar with Google, your kiddos could probably show you, hopefully. But if they set it up in Google Drive and write it in Google Drive, if for some reason they don't have it printed off, they can pay us a Starbuck, just one, and I'll print it off for them, and they'll have access to it through their Google Drive. If you do it on Word or something at home, I don't have access to that to help them out, and then that would be considered a late assignment. Does that make sense? And again, we will set them up next week with their first Nifty News. We'll show them the format, we'll get it set up in their drive, and then that's just a way that they always can do that. So it does come printed. Obviously, we understand printer's broken, toner, whatever. They can pay us a Starbucks and we'll print it. Otherwise, I've had people just print it at work all the time or whatever. Library, yeah. So I know we went over a lot. Just to leave you also, we are very good about communicating. Please email if you have any questions or concerns. We are on Facebook, so just know that we see, like, if somebody's trying to, stuff on Facebook. But anyway, come to us for anything. We're very prompt. You can always go to Mr. Peterson or Ms. Simpson as well. But like we said, we're a pretty tight-knit team, and yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, yes.
Yeah, one question. Back to the math, the second part of it, I forget what you called it, was like the kind of fact practice. Is that an assignment or just kind of general stuff we should be doing? Or
Just general stuff, just practice the facts. Multiplication
Okay.
is really what we're pushing for, but no, it's not like, it's kind of an honor system thing.
Okay.
Or we won't be checking to make sure.
And when we say facts, just they should be knowing that 6 times 6 is 30. Like, it's just a repetition. Because, like she said, we're going to get into long division and large multiplication, and if they're hung up on, it's just going to take them that much longer, and the frustration increases. But yeah, nothing to turn in.
How high up do you want them to go?
At least 10.
Yeah, we just go to 10s. We don't really do 11 and 12. We kind of show them how to get those answers, but really up to 10s. And we'll start doing fact quizzes in probably a month. And so we'll do, like, this week's fact quizzes is your 3s. And so they have to know their 3s that week, and then 4. And so we just kind of move up every week. There's all sorts of songs we listen to on YouTube under Hopscotch. They're little jingles, and they love them, and they, you know, and as parents, you will love them. They don't move your head. I'll be in the shower singing sixes, but yeah. Anyway, any other questions? Yes.
Will they get a range for AR books that they're supposed to be reading, or, cause I feel like last year it wasn't stressed as much, I just don't know.
I don't think we typically give an exact range. What we'll do is, like I said, with the contracts, like if a kiddo doesn't get any points, then I'll meet with them and be like, okay, what happened? Was this too hard of a book? Was it too long? And then we'll kind of help guide them, because I do know, I was mentioning earlier, you know, parents are like, hey, I don't know, my kid's not interested in reading. Your child's teacher can help come up with some suggestions on popular books that kids tend to like, if they like fantasy or if they like realistic, things like that. And so a lot of it's just trial and error as far as the levels. And that's usually why we do the contracts, because I can also guide just what I know off of iReady or things like that. I might be like, ooh, you know what, let's try this book, you know, but we don't have actual levels. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it.